for sticking around. And I don't see any new faces in the crowd, so great. We can just mosey right into our next workshop, which is my chicas. Our panel of super women. And want to bring together a nice mix so that your questions can run the gamut. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to let them introduce themselves and their organizations first. You have their bios, but they can touch upon that and their organizations for the first round. So we'll start with Angela from Olelo.
Hey, hi guys. First, I just wanted to ask, how many of you folks in the audience have ever used Olelo resources? So see, a majority of the filmmakers in Hawaii. Hey, way to go. So I'm Angela Angel. I'm the Chief Production Officer here. At a nonprofit, you wear several hats. So after we're done, I'm probably going to have to clean the bathroom, clean up the kitchen. Anyway, I just wanted to share with you my background so that you understand where I'm coming from. I do have an industry background. In my younger 20 years ago, as a young adult, I was working in the industry as a lot of several positions, like producing, directing, editing, as we're all experiencing, right? We do that in Hawaii. And then I came to Olelo in '97, and I've been here ever since. I haven't eliminated my life as a production resource for the islands, but it does shrink a bit when you're working on trying to get other voices empowered in the community. And that's what Olelo's about. So a few minutes on what Olelo has, and I'm sure we'll have questions and talk about it more, is that Olelo is a nonprofit organization with resources, production resources that are given freely to the community. We're not paid by taxpayer dollars. We're actually funded by a franchise, CAPE franchising agreement. So when people say, oh, my tax dollars are going to Olelo, that's not so. But the cable operators pay for this resource for the community as kind of a trade for utilizing our public rights of way, right? So, so it is an absolute open resource to filmmakers on the island, to anyone, to any community member. And the kind of equipment we have, you see this studio, this is accessible to the community. You just have to go through some training and getting certified. We have a variety of cameras, everything from just a camcorder to C100s or C200s, you know, here, Canon, high-end cameras, DSLRs. And we also have training available here. And just recently, we've partnered with fantastic organizations like PIC to be able to offer some advanced training for community members as well as filmmakers here on the island. So we're really excited to be able to offer what we usually offer as resources and more. And we hope to just keep growing it. And we hope that this community of filmmakers, as we continue to work with Leanne and other organizations that champion the voice, is that Olelo can be a place to come to have your production meetings, and as well as to gather filmmakers for that kind of networking, and to just come in and check out a camera so that you can get your pieces done. So hopefully, in a nutshell, if you have any questions later, we'll talk about it. But basically, Olelo is here to do that for this community. Okay.
Okay. Hi, I'm Marisha Palma Elmore, and I am the Executive Director of SAG-AFTRA. SAG-AFTRA is the Screen Actors Guild, an American Federation of Television and Radio Artists. So we are the union that represents actors, singers, dancers, stunt performers, broadcasters, radio personalities, and puppeteers. I never forget the puppeteers because they're pretty awesome. So hopefully I can be of service to you guys if you have questions later on. Here in Hawaii, we have a lot of contracts in effect right now, all different kinds, for all different kinds of productions under different distribution platforms and also under different budgets. So a lot of people think, oh, I can't use professional actors because my budget's $500 or whatever, but there is a contract for you. We have contracts for short programs. Used to be called the short film agreement, but recognizing that, you know, platforms being what they are and they're ever changing, we now call it the short program agreement, and it's a platform agnostic agreement where you can distribute, you know, theatrically or new media first on anything that's free to consumer. So we've got these, and those types of agreements, so if you fit within a budget, you can defer payment for the actors that you use with their agreement, of course. And then we've got all the way up to the biggest budgets, your multi-million-dollar films, the theatrical basic, and then also TV. So anything I guess you do under Olelo would fall under our TV contract. So if this is something that does interest you, I am absolutely open to take those questions, and I'll have my cards ready to pass out. I should also tell you about me too, how I got here. I just jumped right into what a great organization SAG-AFTRA is. So I took over this job in 2017. The woman who was here before me is awesome. She started the whole branch in 1985. I think we just had our anniversary September 4th or 5th. So she was here for 32 years, and then I took over. And I came at it from a law and government relations background, but then even before that, from a producing and casting background. And then even before that, long time ago, I was an actress. And interestingly, the folks here on this panel probably knew me in different incarnations of my career in different names.
Yeah.
So this is what I love about working in Hawaii also, is if you do it, long enough, everyone really does become family, and we all know each other, and we're all like, hey, I remember when you stepped off the plane in Texas and came and auditioned for me.
Yeah.
Way back when.
True story.
It's a true story. So that's how I come at it, kind of from all these different parts of the industry. And then even with law, I stayed in the industry. I just can't seem to get out of entertainment, I guess. It's the Filipino in me. I come to entertain one way or another. And I realized that my bio that I kind of threw as like a funny line about baklava still is in there. So I was like, I think there's a line there about me, but love it. And that's true, I do love baklava. And that was, it wasn't very serious. But no, everything else is true also in the bio. So, okay, that's me. Sorry.
Hi guys, I'm Becky. I'm the executive director at the Hawaiʻi International Film Festival. Just a quick thank you to Leanne and PIC and Olelo for putting all this together. It's so exciting to see all of you here and to meet new people, see old creatives that, not old, just people that I know. Yeah. Already messing up. All right. No. So I'll tell you a little bit about the Hawaiʻi International Film Festival, known as HIF. We are a 39-year-old nonprofit organization here in Hawaii. So next year we turn 40, which is really exciting. And we present films from across Asia, spotlight across Asia, then the Pacific is our main focus, the films that we exhibit at the festival. We also show really big hits out of the independent American market and Europe, of course, as well. We host our festival every year in November now across 4 different islands here in Hawaii. We also do free programs throughout the year. So every month we do a free showcase. We moved it now, we're at the Victoria Ward Park. And that we seat about 800 people a month over there for a free screening. It's really fun. It's very picnicky. And then in the spring, we also do a smaller showcase here on Oahu over at the Regal Dill Cannery. So that's what we do every year. We also run about 5 different education programs across the state where we are bringing filmmakers from around the world to students here in Hawaii and also busing students in to watch films for free and have a discussion afterwards. And we, 2 years ago in 2017, we started the Made in Hawaii competition program, and that's something that I'm personally really proud of because it's both a showcase of how far Hawaii has come in filmmaking, and that really speaks to everyone in this room as far as like your creative determination and skill and talent. So we're really able to showcase and spotlight on an international level films that are coming out of Hawaii. And then of course we do a Pacific program as well. That's presented by Pacific Islanders in Communication that widens that spotlight to the best films coming out of all of the Pacific region. So the Made in Hawaii Spotlight covers both shorts and features. And for the last 2 years, we have been lucky enough to give out a cash prize with that also. So that's something that we're really excited about. And then the other piece that we started last year, that look out for way more this year, so I'm really stoked, but also exhausted, is our virtual reality program. So we started really looking at interesting, innovative virtual reality and new media projects coming out of Asia, the Pacific, and Hawaii as well. So if you guys are interested in getting into that work or exhibiting that work, there's not a ton of opportunities yet to exhibit that type of work. So we're really proud to be able to bring those projects for free to the community out here as well. My background, similar to these lovely ladies, started in production back in my 20s, so long ago. No, I'm just kidding. It was a while ago, but I started in production and then quickly realized that I'm not nearly the most creative person in the room, and I'm so impressed with everyone who is, but I do a much stronger, better job in supporting creatives. So I've spent the last decade or so of my career really finding ways to support independent creative voices in making their films, getting their films out there to the world. That's my real passion. So thinking about festival distribution strategy, television, streaming platforms, like how can you reach the audiences that you really want to reach? How can you engage communities in discussion around your film? And, you know, either through cultural exchange or some sort of social aspect, like create a conversation that is empowering to people and that could potentially change the way people view themselves through the work that you guys are doing. So that's sort of my passion.
Hi, I'm Connie again. Nice to meet everybody. Well, you know about myself, and all I wanted to say is I work with most of the lovely ladies here in the room, and you know, it's really cool being here with them because we can really talk about, you know, what they do and our experience through that. It's funny you mentioned the Made in Hawaii films. I was there.
You were nominated for one.
And it was
The first year.
It was really helpful as a local producer to have an outlet, to have a voice, and HIF to be able to provide that was huge. It's a game changer for sure, because now you have a place to go. Like I was saying before, right? This is a goal, right? Going there is our goal, and we are trying to meet that deadline, and that's our motivation. I work with Mauricia, you know, with SAG and getting those contracts in place for all of our projects. And so, you know, these are the ladies that you're going to be working with, and guys.
There's guys in this.
But I'm saying Hawaii is going to kill it right now with all women. But no, you know, it becomes this kind of relationships, like we were saying, it becomes family after a while. You know, you're going to be working with the same people, and you're very supportive. And, you know, HIF sees a need, you know, it fulfills it. SAG sees a need for us to have contracts that are going to work with the level of independent filmmaking that we can do right here, right now, that's within our hands. And they're here to support us. Olelo's here to support us. PIC is here to support us. So, you know, I'm super honored to be just sharing this table with them. So that's me.
Nice. So normally a moderator just moderates, but too bad. I'm going to tell you about myself, and I'm going to tell you a little about PIC, and I'll answer questions too. Let's see. I am a PIC-funded producer. I was funded in the early 2000s. I never heard of Pacific Islanders in Communications, but when my producing partner came to me and said, I have a story about Hawaiian women and I want to crew it with all women, I'm like, I'm in. So at that time I was let's see, was I a freelancer then? I think I was working at the time at Pacific Focus, which is 1013 Integrated, it was the longest running production company in Hawaii, and it just closed its doors. So it's very sad. I say it was over 40 years old. Yeah. But from there, getting my funding through PIC and learning about PIC, I just knew somehow full circle I would end up there or just end up supporting it. And who thought, how many years later, that I'd actually be the executive director of it, and kind of broaden its focus, because for a while it was just funding documentary films about Pacific Islander culture, which we need. It was a good thing. But now we're looking at more training, more partnerships, and more, we're also back again funding short films, so I'm really happy about that. And then my 2 degrees of separation through everyone is that short film I got funded for. Like Marisha said, she stepped off the plane and auditioned for it. I mean, literally.
I did.
Yeah.
I think I even had boots on. I'm pretty sure I did. Yeah.
And so we knew each other since then. Angela was a cinematographer on one of the segments of that short film where we were on the side of a pool all day, but we couldn't go in the water. Becky and I have met, become fast friends ever since she took over HIF, and we're growing that as well. We've been a sponsor of the Pacific Showcase for years now, and now we're actually offering a Trailblazer Award with HIF, and that is giving an award to a Pacific Islander trailblazer that is just doing gangbusters. So I think we found ours this year. I won't say anything because they're going to announce it, but we're very excited for it, for that person. And then Connie, who's been in the industry for years, I never met her until a few months ago, but then come to find out she's worked on many a PIC-funded film, and now she's PIC-funded herself.
Oh,
On her very
congrats.
first, it's the very first short film you're directing, or?
No, I'm not directing.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, I'm
but-
producing.
Yeah, so it's going to be really great working with her as well. I think we're going to go on to the next round,
Okay.
which is from your organizations. Just let the audience know what's new, innovative, or what you think they'd like to know about it.
So we're gonna start here again?
Yeah.
See
Yeah.
alphabetically.
Easy for me.
Yeah.
You know what, maybe in mentioning things like, for example, the studio and some of the newer resources, we used to be equipped with kind of like middle-range cameras. And I think one thing that's really exciting is that we are paying attention to a lot of the filmmaking community's needs, because Olelo tends to cover like the clients who utilize us or request our services. It's usually event coverage. You know, we'll go over to an event and they'll want to just tape what's going on at an event. You don't see a lot of cinema style filming with our gear, but we've had some interest and some people who are getting creative with the resources they have with us. And so we've introduced DSLR shooting. Now, for filmmakers, you know, it's a different way of shooting. It's a really great camera, it's got a really great lens, but long story short is that Olelo's got them. And with the 6 different centers that we have around the island, they all have them. So it's not that you have to go all the way to Mapunapuna if you're living out at Nanakuli. We have a center out there, and you can check out that camera. We also do have multi-camera capability. So for those of you who are interested in covering events, you know, or maybe for a documentary, you know, there's going to be a series of, I don't know, presentations that you've got to cover in different communities, and you're like, gosh, I wish I could just do this with a multi-camera, so I'm not setting up 3 cameras and having to organize that. We have multi-camera capability. So the range of production capability at Olelo really is vast. All the way to shooting here. You see a jib in the background. You know, you can learn to use that. It takes a lot of learning and skill. It's kind of like playing, you know, whatever, Nintendo or whatever, PS. Oh gosh, I don't even know what I'm talking about. But just to operate a jib, we teach you. So the whole thing about training you to use the gear is definitely something we do, and something that we hope to enhance with a bunch of advanced workshops coming up in 2020. Our training program's really gearing up to provide more advanced workshops. And what's really cool is that you guys as community members can ask for those workshops. We're all about like, what do you need? What do you need? What do you need? And so someone was talking about doing a budgeting workshop. Excellent idea. Let's find the resources and host it. I think I was talking with somebody about their checklist, right? You know, filmmakers know only what they know. And you don't know what's missing until you see somebody else's list and go, oh, I've never thought of that. So that might be something. So that is a kind of a cool community engagement piece that we do, is that if you need something, we're pretty flexible and pliable to support that. I think in the thought of newness, it really is about kind of embracing the filmmaker community and say, hey, come through the doors. We're not just all about, you know, a little camcorder that, you know, doesn't have any depth of field. We have a variety of resources, and we want you guys to showcase your work with us. We may talk later about how some people who do the film festival circuit can't show your product on television first. So we can try and make arrangements with you, but generally we say that if you use our resources, you need to air it on our channels first. But then if there's an understanding, we can, you know, communicate how do we get it on the air at a certain time once your commitment to not, you know, distributing it on television is POW. So there's always things that we're flexible in working out, but that vast resource is really something to consider, especially if you are stressed in your budget. Okay? Guess I'll stop at that.
Okay, so I got 3 things. First, do we have any actors? Union,
Yeah.
non-union. Yay, actors. I know there's another actor back there who's not raising his hand too. I'm gonna call him, no, I'm not gonna call him out, but. So for the actors out there, I guess our next big thing coming up is October 17th. We have a workshop. So one of the things that this local does is a conservatory program. We try our hardest to put something together once a month, but you know, sometimes it's every other month, but we try still once a month. So in October, we'll have one, and I'm pretty sure this one will be self-taping for auditions. It's not been put out yet, but I'm guessing that's where we're gonna go with that. Now, of course, union members get first dibs, but we do allow a small number of non-union members to come in if the teacher allows it, and I'm pretty sure, usually this teacher that's teaching my next conservatory, he'll allow a small amount of non-union to come in. You do pay a little bit more because it's perk of union membership, so just throwing that out there if you're a union member. It's $10, if you're not, it's $40. But, so that's one thing, we've got classes that are coming up, so that's for the actors. For commercial producers, I'm not sure if we have any commercial producers here, if you know any commercial producers, we now have the Hawaii Regional Commercial Code. So those are for spots made in and played in Hawaii. So if anyone wants more information on that, I'd be happy to share that with you. The rates are lower than the national full rates, so that's a very Hawaii specific thing. And then I would like to spend a little bit of time talking about where I think most of y'all are gonna fit in, and that's the short program agreement. So that's a fairly new agreement, just started this year. And generally speaking, it has to be under 40 minutes, under $50,000 budget, and we can get into it more in detail. And for those who are interested, please see me. I do a workshop in my office that's where we walk through, I have a PowerPoint and everything. We go through the PowerPoint, I walk you through the contract and what the do's and don'ts are. So for those who are interested in doing that, we'll sit in one-on-one and have more conversations for that. But I'm guessing that's probably where these, shorts, most likely. And the only thing is those have to be distributed, you know, at a free-to-consumer platform, anywhere in New Media or internet, or you can do a theatrical distribution, any kind of festival distribution. TV's a little different. You'll fall under a different contract, and we can talk more about that later too. But just wanting to let you guys know that there are options out there for the short and short films and short projects, and you know, short YouTube videos, demo reels, the sky's the limit, Instagram stories. What else do people do? Facebook. You can do shorts on Facebook. You know, I've got a great idea for a Shakespeare man on the street thing, but that's, for anyone who wants to produce this, I'll give you the idea for free. There you go. And we can talk about that later too, which would be a great Instagram story. I'm gonna totally go off on a tangent. I'm gonna reel myself in now before I get off on my Instagram Shakespeare man on the street tangent, which I still think someone should do. So,
Yeah.
I just go off
All
on
right.
me. I know, I'll stop.
Like I said, I'm not the most creative person in the room. Okay, first thing I'm gonna say is come to the festival. Like I said, it's in November. So the second thing I'll say is the end of September is the worst. I hate doing public talking right now because I can't talk about anything, but I know everything because we announced next week, or it's like in a week and a half. But so it's torture for me to sit here and talk to you guys. Not because of you, because I can't tell you what I want to tell you. But no, the festival, we have a ton of programs. And I think a lot of times people in the community don't aren't really fully aware of everything that we have going on at HIF. And I really, really want to change that. So the first of the things I'll say is come to the festival and submit your work. Like we've talked about, for the last 2 years, we've done the Made in Hawaii program. And what I will say is that this year it's a smaller program. And that's because we didn't get as much submissions. We didn't get as much work from Hawaii. And it was really frustrating, but not disheartening, because I think that that's normal in communities, you know, especially a smaller community like ours where there's sort of a lull in a production year. And I expect next year to see the numbers go back up again. And we're still really committed to doing the Made in Hawaii showcase. So we're still doing it. It's just going to be a little bit different because there was a much smaller number of work that was submitted this year. So submit your work. We really want to see what you guys have, and we're really open-minded. We talk a lot about that program. We have a really great panel of judges for that program that are both local and international. And then you get to come, you know, if you're nominated for that program, you get to come to the gala and meet everyone that we bring in for the festival, which is really exciting. So please submit your work. And, you know, I love seeing everyone's different creative visions and voices and things I would never even think about, not all of which necessarily fits with the program, I will say, but so much of it does, and so much of it shows this like spectacular, authentic, and entertaining perspective on Hawaii and the stories that are coming out of this place that is really special and exciting. And then also submit to the program, because especially if you have a shorts, and we're really strong in shorts in Hawaii, you know, Myrnie's husband being one of the driving forces there, but we have a ton of shorts. And then the films that come through the Made in Hawaii short program, we also run a program where we put those on in-flight programming for Hawaiian Airlines. So they're free on Hawaiian Airlines to all the passengers that fly around the world with Hawaiian Airlines. And then in exchange for that, we give the filmmakers that are accepted into that exhibition opportunity some Hawaiian Airlines miles. Pretty significant amount, with the hopes that it helps you go to a conference or go to a neighbor island for production or go to a film festival somewhere else, you know, to help advance your career and get yourself out there a little bit more. And then at the festival, you know, we really try and create a lot of different opportunities for discussion, whether it's Q&As after films with filmmakers and talent and industry representatives that we bring out, or the panels that we do. We usually have 5 or 6 different panels for the film program, and then this year we're also adding a number of panels for our virtual reality and new media program as well. We bring out around 200 delegates every year. Now, word delegates is a broad term that we use to kind of cover filmmakers, both independent and commercial, any celebrity talent, any independent talent, any industry representatives. So I'm talking networks, networks executives is what I meant to say, other film festival programmers and executives. This year we have someone coming in from Toronto, we have someone coming in from Tribeca, we have someone coming in from Hong Kong, China, you know, that work in film festivals in those regions. And then we also bring out press. And that's a really exciting thing for me, because we bring out press and we sort of like force them to watch a lot of the films that are coming out of Hawaii, because no one else is watching these films and no one is writing about them, and it's so frustrating. And so, you know, a lot of the focus that we give to the press that we bring out is like doing spotlights on filmmakers and films from Hawaii and really pushing that angle. So, you know, 2 years ago, Kiara, who did Out of State, which was a PIC project as well, she got a whole spotlight in Movie Maker magazine for their Sundance print issue, which was super exciting. And then last year we had Filmmaker magazine do a huge spotlight on just all the really amazing organizations here in Hawaii. So Hino was kind of showcased in that, and Women in Film Hawaii was showcased in that. So we're really, really trying in a lot of different ways to get more eyeballs on the creative minds and the creative work coming out of Hawaii. And to be able to do that effectively, but also need you guys to show up to participate in those conversations and to continue creating work. And we hope that a lot of the opportunities that we're providing is sort of a motivating factor to help be like, you know, we will show it, to help kind of encourage you to create more and more innovative stuff. So like I haven't seen a comedy. I don't know if there are any like Hawaii made comedies, but that would be so cool. That isn't like from LA, you know, because we have, you know, Adam Sandler and stuff, but it would be really cool to see one told from our perspective. The last time I saw a Hawaii made comedy was like 12 years ago when I was at Doris Duke, and it was a short film, like they were speaking pidgin. And it was so funny. It was just this little story. They were speaking pidgin, and that was all translated in like proper English. It was so well done. But that's like, it was 12 years ago. And then, you know, stuff more like sci-fi or spacey stuff. You know, we were really excited to start seeing the community kind of push the limits and sort of break through new barriers with the different type of work that's coming out. So that's my long rant about that.
I'm not sure that the question applies to me, hence I don't have an organization. The word on the street is that Hawaii is right now in a point in time where I've never seen this town so busy with production work. And opportunity is everywhere. I mean, everywhere, really. You are in an amazing time to be doing what you're doing. Right now, if you need to learn, this is when the doors are flung open and we're saying, come, because we need you. We need to build our community. You know, we all have the tax incentive and the tax credit, and that's great for our state. It keeps us employed. But we also have to be prepared and know that, you know, we can also be self-sustainable. And it's my hope and dream that everybody else grabs the canoe and says, you know what, we can produce our own creative content and take it out to the world because we have stories to tell, we have ideas, and it's gonna help the world. And so it's important to be, you know, to be conscious of that opportunity and don't dwell on it. You're as prepared as you're ever going to be to do it. So, you know, rely on these sources sitting right here to, you know, to pull yourself up and you'll learn. It's, you know, it's not easy. You'll learn, it's a process, but thankfully we have, you know, people that care about us genuinely to be able to do that. So that's all I can say.
You are your own organization.
Yeah, right? Seriously.
And then what's happening with PIC is we have one more set of workshops in this workshop series, and that's going to be on October 12th. And that's going to be learning about how to pitch your project, why you should pitch your project, and there'll be tips on public speaking as well. So if you haven't signed up for it yet, please sign up, and that would be great. And then in November, which we're calling Mediatastic Month.
Yeah.
I mean,
so much.
Yeah, November is gonna be bonkers because starting on November 1st through the 3rd, Ohina is holding their film lab. So they already had a record amount of applications that went through with their scripts and their short film ideas. Those have been chosen, and now they're going to bring in industry professionals to go through the lab and help hone their scripts and everything. And then on November 5th is going to be our PIC Media Makers Summit. And that's going to be a day-long summit at the Hawaii Convention Center. You're going to see everyone here there. And it's our focus for this year. Our topic is impact, storytelling with impact, and just talking about the importance of all of the passion and energy, money you put into your project, thinking about what is the impact of the final project, how are you gonna use your stories as a tool to get your messages out? So I think it's really important, because as Connie was saying in the earlier workshop, you need to think about distribution. Beyond that, you need to think about impact. Where is this story gonna take you, and what changes will incur because of your passion project? So that's November 5th. November 6th is Good Pitch Local Hawaii. So they've been having good pitches across good pitch locals across the US. They've been having good pitch internationals worldwide, but Hawaii is gonna be the first, not only island, but city in the Pacific that we're gonna offer Good Pitch, and it's gonna be 13 projects pitching social justice issues and just trying to get support for their projects. So everyone in the room will offer support, be it just good vibes, or it could be money, but we don't want people to just ask for money. We want them
Resources.
resources, thank you. And just, that would be that many more projects that we're gonna help push out of the nest. So we're really looking forward to that. And then last but not least,
Go straight into that.
it goes 2 weeks of HIF. And
Longer than that.
Oh, longer, yes.
Well, maybe not. Well, we're the 7th through the 17th here in Honolulu, and then the 21st through the 24th on Maui, Kauai, and in Hilo.
Also a good reason to use your Hawaiian mug.
Yes. Or if you have family or friends on neighbor islands, we just got back to Maui last year, so we're on Maui, Kauai, and in Hilo. And we have really awesome showcases planned for all 3 of those locations, and we do education on those islands as well, which is really exciting.
And it's amazing because just when you think, okay, they're wrapping up on Oahu, I'm totally exhausted just from going to the films. Becky goes to all those screenings.
Never ends.
Yeah, so.
Till Christmas.
it's like the festival ends and then we sleep, and then all of a sudden it's the next year. Yeah, but November's going to be awesome, you guys. It's going to be a really fun month.
Yeah.
There's a
Gonna be
lot.
media task.
Yeah.
That's right. No, yeah.
That was Cheryl's point phrase, mediatastic. I'm going to open it up to questions. Does anybody have any questions for anybody? Any other questions? Yes, Barbara.
Good Pitch Hawaii. Do we have to have signed up for that already?
Yes,
It seems
so,
like I'm on a waiting list or something, and
okay, have you gone to their website or signed up? And what they'll do is they'll ask you a little more questions, like, why are you interested in that and this? What can you bring to the table? What do you want to get out of it? And then, then they'll put you on the list, so.
So if we're not able to get in because if it's closed, can other people come and observe and kind of see the process?
Oh, okay, so the projects have already been chosen, is that what you were asking?
Yeah.
Okay, so out of, I think there were 65, 67 entries.
Which is incredible.
Yes, they whittled it down to 13. And so now it's just asking to be part of the 125 people in the room. And, to be part of that supportive audience that they need.
You can go to your website.
Good Pitch
Hawaii.
I think it's Google Good Pitch Hawaii. Yeah, or it's even the Good Pitch local main website, and they'll take you to the Hawaii
And that's
website.
once a year?
This is the inaugural. It's the very first. I think all of our organizations are partners on it, and it was started rather recently. The locals were started because they not only saw a need for different cities with, everyone has different issues, but they also saw a need to get these short projects out faster than they were getting out, so.
Are they
that's-
only short projects or are they also feature?
They're actually, they normally are only short projects, documentaries, short documentaries. We opened it up to narratives, feature-length documentaries, and any other media platforms. Like someone wants to do a Facebook Live program on political happenings in Hawaii. So it kind of runs the gamut. It's really interesting. You know, and all the projects, thank you to Olelo, because when we came and did the Good Pitch about, you know, a call for entries, not only was it packed in here, but a lot of the projects that people brought up and said, oh, I'm doing this and that, they applied.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was
And I
really
think
good.
I think the really amazing thing about Good Pitch too is that it's not only providing an enormous amount of resources and opportunity for the filmmakers and the creatives, but it's also really starting to plant really important seeds in the community about investing in film and what that means and making that a much more approachable conversation. And I think right now Hawaii is in this really amazing sort of place where we have this incredible creative force, and you know the larger community is hopefully starting to take note of that in a way, and you know things like Good Pitch and what they're really doing also is starting to talk about how the wider non-film and non-creative community can get involved in both a financial aspect and a resource aspect to supporting the work that's coming out of the creative community here. So it's really exciting to see Good Pitch in Hawaii.
Anybody else have questions?
I have a question about the short program
Mhm.
contracts. And we can schedule in your office.
Yep, we can. Just, I'll make sure that when we're done, I'll give you a card, so you can call the office and we can have more in-depth talks, because I think it would be super boring to just talk all about contracts all day, as much as some people love talking about contracts, but it's something that deserves you know, a good amount of time to really go through what the points are and what the, you know, the parameters of what the contract is, who can use it, who can't use it, and all that.
Yeah.
So absolutely.
But I just wanted to know, like, a general
Mhm.
problem that
Sure.
everybody goes
What's your
through.
general problem? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, can you tell us?
Well,
Something that we should.
Oh, she's asking for an example.
Oh, I
of
thought
a
she
general.
had
No,
a
no, no,
general.
no.
Okay.
Or frequently asked questions?
Well, I think a frequently asked, lots of money questions and budget questions. So for Hawaii, we usually, I don't think I've seen a short go over 50,000. Have we seen a short over 50,000?
Cheryl, yeah?
Sure, I'm looking at, okay, so generally speaking in Hawaii, we don't really see those higher budget shorts, but that's a big one, is a budget question. So, and we were just talking about making budgets.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that would be a great Olelo program or a PIC, because that's one thing that filmmakers will come at and say, oh, well, what do you mean? What's a budget? So that's probably the most, under the column of frequently asked questions, it's money questions. You know, I don't know how to do a budget. What is a budget? What do I include in my budget? So I can generally tell you, for the short program agreement, you've got to keep it at 50, you know, under 50 to qualify for that. And so most of the questions are around that. And then another big one is for Hawaii especially, and I'm not sure if it's because perhaps we need more comedy, because we've got a lot of daredevil type folks where people want to do stunts all the time. So that's what-
Really?
Yes, yes. Or fighting,
That's
fighting
cool.
and stunts, and so that I get questions about that kind of stuff, and we can dive more into the contract, but generally speaking, when we were talking a little bit about deferred payments, we don't defer anything for stunts. So you're gonna have to pay their full rate. But again, that, you know, we gotta talk more about that in person, because, you know, and then another question was, what is a stunt? And that's, gosh. Yeah, that's a 5-hour Olelo program right there where we write out. And there are specific Hawaii questions for that too. So I'm in the ocean and I'm
Yeah.
swimming. Now am I a stunt? I'm in
Yeah.
the ocean, I'm swimming, there's a fake shark. Am I a stunt? I'm in the ocean, I'm swimming, I'm on a fake shark and a boogie board, and now I'm North Shore in winter. Is that a stunt? Yes, it is. But I don't know.
So you can help us for those who are.
So, yeah, we can go over generalities and how the process normally works then. If this is something you want to do, you go to the sagaftra.org website. There's a preliminary information sheet, and it's all online. It's you do a DocuSign thing, so you don't have to print out any paper. You do it all online. Once that gets filled out, you'll get attached to a biz rep. So, I didn't say this. In Hawaii, I'm the only person here. So it's just me, hi. But your biz reps are all in Los Angeles, and we do work very closely, our local office, with the folks in Los Angeles. And your biz rep will help you with a lot of these questions too, so whoever you get attached to, and depending on what department you're into. So if you end up in the short program contract, you'll be attached with someone in the theatrical department. If you end up doing something for Olelo, there's a whole TV department. So there's all of that too, which I'm trying to stay more bird's eye instead of getting to the weeds for those folks who don't want to be in the weeds with contracts. But did that at least answer some general questions? So those are my frequently asked, usually money and stunts.
I can imagine you have a lot of information on
Yep.
different work.
So this is why we do, in the office, we'll do a full, usually 2-hour long, where I put the PowerPoint up and we'll go through step by step what you do.
But you still get surprised in certain.
Oh yeah, people get surprised. People get surprised all the time. Just, I mean, one day we can have stories. We'll just talk about all the surprising stories that come
That would
up.
be a cool panel.
Right, that's a cool panel.
The
of-
non-recorded.
I know.
No cameras
right,
in that
of-
panel.
Of stuff people say.
Or it's just things that have happened.
And you're like, wow, that's real. And you think I'm making up the shark snow, no, these things happen, but, Is that okay? I hope to answer your questions, okay.
Now I saw hands in the back row. Do you still have your question? You guys?
Oh, okay.
Stacy?
I was just wondering where, we're talking a lot about film and media and stuff. Where would things like podcasts fall in? Would you guys be able to help somebody with that or gear it toward, especially if we want to do it more collaborative? Because it seems like it's really independent when it's about one subject. But if it's kind of a little broader or different subjects and you want to work with more people, like, is there any way that you guys have thought about working with podcasts? Or like, where would it fall under, I guess, in the media? Because I think
Does
it's
Olelo do
pretty much
that?
coming on the.
Yeah, do you guys do anything?
Yeah, everyone's asking, does Olelo do that? You know what? Olelo doesn't have a recording space specifically for podcasts, but we have been asked by our clients because that is new media, right? The one thing I would say to if you are going to venture into podcasting is to understand how to tell a story, right? There are continuous elements that as a creative, you need to remember. There's sound has music, pauses, silence is powerful, right? How do you interject or intercut your stories? It's just kind of like the editing process. You don't just rant for an hour and a half, right? You've got to make it interesting for your listener. You don't even have the visual to kind of stimulate, re-stimulate. So there are a lot of the storytelling criteria that you'd have to just kind of pay attention to. In terms of resources, we don't have a specific recording one, but again, if it becomes popular, you're the second person who's approached me in about a month talking about podcasts, and can Olelo do it? I will go talk to management and say, hey, there seems to be an interest here, and maybe we can kind of see where that goes. But it really is trying to have a really conducive recording space where you can have a conversation with somebody and quality mic, the sound pickup as well as your recording devices, and where you can edit that. If anything, though, I would tell people who are interested in doing podcasts to go ahead and utilize Olelo or your free resources to experiment, because you can edit on Final Cut Pro to just hear what your story would sound like and interject music and stuff and see if you can make those interesting stories without the visual. Then you have a podcast. But if you can't do it, maybe you don't really necessarily go down that road, because it's just as competitive now. I mean, there are cajillions of podcasts out there. It's easier to dive into that huge pool, just like YouTube, right, and get lost in it. So what's special about yours? Practice. Try and get it going first before you really commit all your resources and your time to doing an actual podcast.
The other place I would look, I don't know if Hawaii Public Radio has any resources for people interested in the podcast space, but there is a ton of people interested in the podcast space here in Hawaii, so that would be the other place I would think about going and seeing, and if they do any sort of public panels or anything about that.
And then Civil Beat also.
Yeah.
They have the wonderful-
Do.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
That is a good one.
Was part of your question networking with other podcasters too, or meeting?
Well, Yeah, I guess I just wanted to see where it would fall on the spectrum of
Yeah.
media. I mean, it is, like you said, storytelling, but we also want to, I guess, dabble in filming it as well, to bring it on a different platform.
So like YouTube.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sort of. Yeah, so I was just curious, because like, I know it's kind of, like you said, it's starting to become pretty popular, pretty big, and if that would fall under any of your guys', I guess, what you guys offer, your resources and
Yeah.
whatnot.
To throw in my 2 cents, I would say that it's something that has happened within my lifetime where I was doing like projects in film, like not that long ago. And now all of a sudden, all these new things have been introduced, YouTube and all this new media stuff. And the world changes as we all do. And so the regulations sometimes are not in place set yet, and they happen within our lifetime, and we have to keep up with them. So I expect a lot of these, podcasts and stuff to start being regulated the same way social media is going to start to be regulated and built into the different union contracts and things that we use in the film business or entertainment industry to provide it. Because again, what we were talking in the morning, it's still an industry. It still has to work within those parameters, and it has to be regulated like any other industry. So.
And again, I'm going to plug the PIC Media Makers Summit because it's media. And we're going to bring in so many special guests, and we will have someone from Civil Beat there too, and I'm sure other podcasters. So yeah, it's a great place to meet new people and network.
Lynn, how can people register for that?
They can go to our website and click on register now. And we have an Eventbrite page set up just to register. And we're filling up really fast. So I think I am gonna say we're probably gonna have to shut it down before November. Yeah.
Nice.
Yay.
And right now, we've already have special guests coming in from Sundance, from Tribeca, from PBS, from CPB. Oh, not CPB. They didn't tell us yet if they're coming.
Australia.
Australia. This one woman does Good Pitch Australia. She's done it for 4 years in a row. Now they've tapped her in to work to do international. She just did Indonesia. And those are the big good pitches where there's like hundreds of people in the room. Your cohort from FIFO, from the festival, the Tahiti Film Festival, the ED will be there as well, and she's going to be a juror for HIF as well. So a lot of cross connections. Any other questions? Oh, okay. Monty.
Just curious about the SAG-AFTRA regarding
With a podcast?
Yeah, I guess if I'm a podcaster and I'm interviewing a SAG-AFTRA actress, and I want to film it also to put it on YouTube, which I make money off of.
Then it would,
Like, you know what I mean?
it sounds like new media. That's what I'm gonna, it sounds like it would fall under that contract. But I would need more information, and perhaps we can talk offline. Okay, but that's just from, it sounds like it would fall under that.
Whose hand was back there? Oh, okay.
So my question is, what is your advice, I guess, for beginner filmmakers that have all these ideas, on like, for films or for short projects or documentaries or whatever? What would your advice be on, like, kind of like to narrowing down those ideas or prioritizing them? And like where to start off, because, like, let's be real, it's gonna be your first project, it's not gonna be the most perfect one, right?
Can I ask a question, though, for our audience member? Is that, have you ever tried writing down your story? I mean, because that can kind of tell you whether or not you're really going to commit to it, right? I mean, because you can dream all you want, and you know what? Don't stop dreaming, because you have to keep all of that creativity going. But when you're really going to say, I'm going to do this project, start writing it down, because you're going to find one of them starts to take off. One of them starts to inspire you. The reason I'm saying this is because I keep saying, Olelo is free. You've got to use Olelo. Can you imagine taking a piece of your idea and being able to just go to go to a center near you in your neighborhood and say, I need a camera, because I'm going to try something, and do a short piece, so that you can actually see whether or not this reads to you. You've got video reflected right back to you. Your story's reflected back to you. And I know that sounds like very typical. Everybody's like, oh yeah, that makes sense, of course, of course. But when you physically have to do it and you have to commit, you've got to take your weekend or 2 or 3 to actually do it. That's going to tell you whether or not your story has the longevity to stick with it and develop it. Because it's not going to be poof, oh my God, my script is beautiful and it only took me an hour, right? And then, oh, I'm going to shoot it in a couple of hours. Of course not. It's going to take a lot of dedication and time and revision and finessing. And, you know, it's just so much work. So I guess when you asked that question, my first thought was just like, I would never tell anybody to stop dreaming or narrow. But when you are going to commit your time, you've got to make sure to just try it first, because you're not going to make that decision just based on, you know, thinking which one's going to be the best. You've got to really physically, you know, mold it and see if it holds. Yeah? And don't be afraid to fail on those 1 or 2 or 3, you know, ideas. Because that just tells you that the 4th one was the one to go for. Yeah?
And to add to that, I agree with everything that she's saying. And the other thing that I would add is don't work in a bubble. Don't work by yourself. Even if it's your first project and you're afraid of not being as skilled or whatever your fears are, I think, and I get it, working in groups can be just as complicated as working alone for very different reasons. But your group is going to help inspire you to keep pushing forward, and it's going to help push your creative boundaries and all of that. I've seen a lot of stuff from filmmakers in Hawaii that are just working by themselves, and it is not as strong as the filmmakers that are working in a group. It's not as strong. So don't expect the first project to fail. Like, I forget how you phrased that when you asked your question, but you're like, it's not going to be as good or something. It's like, don't go in with that attitude, girl. Like, it could be awesome. Just have fun, you know? Like, you never know what's going to happen. So that's what I would add.
I would say not limiting your creativity is always important. I think that you can have different notebooks for different ideas that you have going on. And when you're ready to do something, when you feel ready to produce something, look at all your ideas and say, out of all my ideas and the resources that I know and can see and foresee, what fits that bill, right? So like, you may have an amazing idea about a sci-fi, but this is your first project. Maybe leave that on the shelf for like the 3rd project. Get a girl in a room and, you know, like, simplify it to set yourself up for success, because you are going to be learning and you're going to be building that skill set. So I always say, when somebody comes to me with the script and they're like super excited and this is like the one thing they wanted to do all of their life and it's the first thing, I'm like, okay, what else do you want to do? Let's do that first, right? Because it's just too much pressure for the first project. There's a lot to learn, and not just about the film industry itself, but just about yourself and how do you work with that. So I would say that, you know, don't, like she said, don't ever limit your creativity, but do bring it out at the appropriate time for you so that you are successful at it.
God, you know, I was sitting here listening for the answers, because I think I'm a lot in your boat. Because I'll tell you, I just gave you guys my Instagram story thing. I have tons of ideas just like that. I don't even write them down. I'll be driving in my car. I'm like, we need to do a country music biopic on, you know, whatever. Great ideas, but I wish I had the discipline to sit and write. So I want to commend you for even just asking the question. I got no words of wisdom here, Leanne. I'm just the union lady, man.
That was the other thing I was going to say about find a group, because part of your question was, how do I whittle down my ideas? Like, where can you find people? What are they interested in working on also, right? Like, so find people that can bring resources to one of the ideas that you have, right? So that was the other thing.
So, I mean, I'm sitting with you. I'm going to go sit with you, because I'm listening to the wise ladies.
You have to be able to, the most important thing I could tell you is to learn how to say, Siri, take a note.
Okay, Google.
Take those notes, write it down. I'm going to teach you how to do that. Hands-free when you're driving. Siri,
the next panel, there's a new union lady, and I'm sitting out there like, man, I got the story with Shakespeare, and it's all about Ophelia, and it's going to be awesome.
But I would
No, I'm not quitting. Wait, I'm not quitting.
But she's a great actress, so you can actually call her to do some.
No, I officially retired.
Oh,
That's the
no,
whole thing with being the union lady. I'm retired.
Did you have
So
to?
I did. So I can't compete or anything. So anyways, but we can still, I love talking story. These ladies all know this. You can call me anytime. We'll have tea together and we'll just talk story about your stories. So I can be part of your group. That's how I
She'll be
contribute.
There you
to
go.
the-
There you go. You have your first partner.
Right, and I'll just listen.
I challenge, though, anybody here to do a scene, just to write a scene out of something that you're interested in, just to try and do some dialogue.
cool, yeah.
And again, that's the crazy thing about having these resources like Olelo is that like you could literally shoot to camera, and if you don't know how to cut multicam on Final Cut Pro, we would teach you. So basically you're doing two camera, you're doing the dialogue, you're cutting just like if somebody were auditioning for you, right? And you do a video audition. But then you can kind of see how your dialogue reads, right? You're going like, wow, this is a really heavy scene and it worked, right? The dialogue, oh wow, it was too wordy and too flowery, and oh wow, I'm gonna really have to get more real, stuff like that. And then you exercise with fantastic retired actresses who say, I'll come out and I'll do the reading for you. But you start to network when you do it. So I would really encourage you, and then you could check in with HIF and do the Made in Hawaii. There's so many things that snowball from just taking action. Yeah, and I know that's easy to say, but I would just really encourage that to just jump in. Since it's free, I would never say that with Connie there, our producer, who said just jump in. No, you have to think things through. But at least to test things, you have some free resources here. The only, again, commitment is that if you do shoot that dialogue, you got to air it on Olelo, so it's going to go live. It's gonna go out there.
Midnight.
But you never know, because then you also take that media that you created out of free resources, you put it on your Facebook page and you say, hey, working on a film, and here's an idea. You made sure that, who was it? Oh, maybe it was Connie that was saying that, make sure your outline is, is already copywritten with WGA or something like that, so you don't lose it. But at the same time, you never know who comes in and goes like, oh my God, that was crazy, awesome. I'm a cam op, on the island, I want to do something creative, and I thought that was great. Who knows how that networks? So it's taking that step, yeah.
Can I ask a question? So I want to ask a question to you. No, I'm just kind of curious. No, so what do you think? I have a theory on, I think, why fewer people are submitting. I think it's because this has been a banner year for production in Hawaii with the 2 TV shows, and then we've had movies back to back to back and commercials. And I feel
People are
like,
working.
well, and then the folks who would make their fun side projects during
Yep.
hiatus picked up a movie on Kauai or
Yep.
whatever, and now they're. Do you think that's?
I think
just
that's
my
definitely part of it.
assessment.
I think that's
Okay.
definitely part of it. I think there's been a lot of attention and new programs that are coming into the community right now, especially this last year. And I think I'm actually excited about it because I think it's really cool because I think people are starting to hone their craft a lot more. And I think we're going to see a lot of really spectacular projects come out the next couple of years. So I'm not upset about it. But I also think that there are a lot of people in the community that just aren't submitting yet.
Okay.
Right. I do think that that's part of it too. Because, I mean, the thing about HIF, you guys, I have an amazing team. We have a great team over at HIF that works in programming. I also have a great team that works not in programming, that we do all the fun administrative stuff. But my programming team, they're experts in this field. They've been doing this for decades. And they travel the world watching films and speaking on panels and being jurors and stuff like that. And we, for a long time over at HIF, have sort of kept our fingerprint, our finger on the pulse of what's coming up, who's in the community, who's making what. And my team will go and watch rough cut screenings and give feedback. And we try to be supportive the whole way. I try not to watch rough cut screenings because I don't want to have any opinion about the work at all. I try to kind of keep it neutral. But, I do have a team that will be able to provide really, really amazing feedback and be there that whole step of the way, every step of the way. And it's really just your ability to show up and ask for those resources and really take advantage of all the different people and organizations. I mean, what Olelo has here is incredible. Like, I've lived in a number of different cities that have different public media programs, and it's really a state-of-the-art facility and opportunities. And you know, PIC does incredible programs. They fund so much work coming out of Hawaii. So take advantage of all the different opportunities that are here.
The other thing I was gonna add about just going and doing it, because I'm all about that too. It's like, you can sit there and overthink forever. But once you get out there and do it, that's how you start honing your skill. But you're also building your works in progress. And from there, when you apply for funding, you have something to show, which any funder you're gonna apply to is gonna ask, what have you worked on
Yeah.
before?
Yeah.
What can we see? So baby steps, but don't let your feelings of, I'm not a professional, I'm inadequate, or I haven't done this very much stop you, because this is what gets you to the next level. The second thing I was gonna say was, yes, always work in groups, because the people I know that work in a bubble, I do not see them grow. And then they also take on this, it's a job, or someone's gotta do it, right?
Yeah.
Whereas the ones that work in groups, you're energized, it's fun, you bounce creativity off one another. So I am all for finding people you love to work with, even the ones you don't. They bring something
They
to the
do.
table. At least, like Connie said earlier, you know what you don't want to do or who you don't want to work with. But,
And it
yeah.
comes through in the film. Like, trust me when I say it comes through in the film. Like, some films just seem like, you know, maybe it's a diary. This is just your diary project, and no one else is going to be interested in this ever. And it's not something that people are really going to watch or get anything from by watching. And it just kills me whenever I see that, because it's like, "Ah, come on, this could have been, you had so much potential." But yeah, sorry, Leah.
Oh, no, that's perfect. Let's see, we have about, go ahead.
Thank you all for coming and sharing your resources and what's available for us. I've always seen you as all separate, and so it's really great to see you in one sitting. So I'm just trying to wrap my head around who to go to, and because it's a matter of distribution too in
Right.
the end, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know where to go or where to start, because I know if I use Olelo, I air it on Olelo station.
Start with them.
Yeah. Well, I guess after you've written what you've written and you've auditioned, if you have union people, then you have to come to me.
Right.
If you don't, you don't have to. Although, you know, we don't have to go into all that now. But so
Yeah.
I come in the actor's part. So that, if that answers your question.
But I think one thing that's really nice, and I also am really happy to see all these wonderful women, you know, sitting here sharing together, because we've worked together in different capacities over the years. But again, just I think there is this wave of thinking, you know what, we are a state, or you know, we want our filmmaking community to be strong, so we're coming together. So if you did have a question, you could actually come to any one of us,
Yeah.
and we would go,
Yeah.
like, you know,
Yeah.
we just talked on the phone,
We
a
did,
few days
just
ago,
this
like, hey, what
week.
about this? Is that we
Yeah.
will find that resource for you, you know, like how you want to distribute. If I'm going
That's
like, oh
right.
gosh, that sounds just like his program, I'm going to refer you to Becky, or, you know, and we'll try and find that best way to help each and every one who comes to us, because, you know, Ohana, right? But truly, we talk to each other all the time, and we've
We
worked with
do.
each other in the past. So if it seems like we can help you with referring you to another person, we would do that. Yeah?
And we're also paying,
You go.
we're also paying attention to what you're doing. I mean, your work fuels all of our organizations,
Yes.
right? So like, as much as it feels like we're sitting up here being like, hey, use our resources, it's also like, we get a lot out of the work that you guys do too, right? Because that's how our organizations are able to survive and thrive and continue supporting the community.
Right.
So, you know, a lot of the conversations is like, hey, what do you got coming up? Like, what's coming down the pipe? Like, is there anything cool? So we're also keeping tabs on the community in that way too. So
So I can say when actors call me, hey, I want to audition for XYZ things. I'm like, oh, I know of
like, we know this
someone
person doing
who's
that.
doing a short
and-
film.
Yeah. if there's a casting call and it comes to my desk, I'm
And
like,
then
make
I
sure you email it to
send
all
it
of
out
these
to
people.
my
Yeah.
members. Because
Yeah.
for me, I mean, my priority is to help my members find work. You guys will be giving my members work, so I am here as your resource, but kind of selfishly, you know, my end goal is always doing whatever I can to promote my membership and to, you know, make sure that the actors in Hawaii, our members, have short films, new media projects, commercials. Someone raised their hand here for commercials. I don't remember. Whoever it was, you know, have places where they can go too.
And I think our very end goal is, like I said before, Connie's workshop, is to create a sustainable Hawaii film industry that isn't just made up of outside projects. So when we're bringing up, it always comes like in waves, or that one year we'll get tons of projects,
Yeah.
and the next year we won't. It's funny now that we are saying, oh, it's because everyone's working on the outside projects, and then they'll work on theirs, because before it wasn't, it was, everyone's working on the outside projects, and when there's no outside projects,
They're done.
yeah,
That's it. Yeah.
like we're on unemployment, or we're
Or we're
working
teaching.
retail,
Yeah.
So now it's kind of neat where,
Yeah.
okay, we're gonna go on hiatus, what are we gonna
Yes.
work on next?
Yeah.
You know, so
Definitely.
we've seen that change throughout, you've seen that, Connie, throughout the years?
Yeah, that's definitely the way I operate, like, you know, with the funds for PIC, I'm like, okay, I'm not thinking about this, I'm only doing May to June, because I know that's the time where
Yeah.
people are available, opportunities there, and, you know, but also what I was saying earlier is like, for us, while everybody else is working and busy, this is when we get to like do stuff and submit to PIC and get busy, right? So like the town's busy, let's get ourselves busy and work on those things, because the opportunity is still there. These ladies are still there, resources are there. So why not, you know? This is a good time for that.
Malu, how much time do we have left?
3 minutes.
Wow, that's fast.
Let's see, I don't think we have enough time for call, but let's just do a last words of wisdom from my super women.
Ooh. Okay, I actually spewed as much wisdom as I could. So I am just gonna leave it at, you know, the resources here, and I think to everyone's attesting to utilize it. Even this kind of encouragement, just having a place where you can go in, our staff are really cool. Sisto over there, Kikoa, I mean, we have a really cool group of people who that if you just shared your idea, they'd be like, oh yeah, go for it, oh, use this camera, use that. Just connect and help us to help you get thrilled about your project, and then utilize this free resource, okay?
My last words of wisdom, I think at the end of the day, it's the story. And as I look around and I see you folks here, whatever the medium, whatever the budget, or, you know, or whatever it is, it really just, at the end of the day, is a story. And your words are still resonating with me, you know, write it down. And so, get your story straight. You like that? Get your story straight. That's my last words of wisdom.
Siri, take a note. Get your story straight.
There you go.
I don't think I have wisdom for you guys. I guess what I want to say is, you know, you guys all came out here on a Saturday morning
Right.
to participate in this. Like, you're already doing it, and be really proud of yourselves for that. And you're already accessing these resources, and you are more than on your way to achieving your dreams. And just like be proud of yourselves for doing that. And I cannot wait to see what y'all make, and hopefully we can show some of it. So thank you for being here and for motivating us to keep doing what we're doing.
Wow, I chose a bad seat. Everything she said. You know, keep on it. You know, you're already there. It's not anything magical. There's not a magic door. We all have different paths, and however your path unfolds, enjoy it to the maximum. Make the most out of it. Create your community, build your relationships, you know, go out, be proud. You know, there's something to be said to waking up at Saturday morning and being here and listening to, you know, everybody has their own ideas of what they want to do, and hopefully this is helpful to you. there's other resources as well, you know, be as independent as you can, but also be open to new collaborators, new ideas, new ways of doing things. Just because we've done things one way the whole time doesn't mean that's how we have to keep doing them, you know, like we were talking about new media, rules off the door. Let's do it again. Let's try something different. So, you know, be as innovative as possible. That's gonna set you out apart from the norm, and listening to the opportunities about, you know, virtual reality and those kind of things. That's exciting. That's a whole new world that, you know, us as a community have not yet, like, we're just getting there to where it's gonna be like, oh, wow, you know, and that opens a new door of opportunities. So, yeah, I think just keep on it.
Wow, and on those words of wisdom, we're gonna thank our fabulous panel, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.